Welcome to Research Realm, where today's episode we're going to dive into the patient journey in clinical research. My guest today with me is Ms. Barbara. She has participated in 2 of our clinical trials here at Revival Research, and we welcome her to share her journey with us today.
Well, thank you, Nicole, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, today we really want to talk about the patient experience, things that you typically probably don't hear on a podcast. So we want to really know, what is it like to be a participant in a clinical trial? So first, Barbara, can you take us back to when your health journey started and what was happening in your life before you heard about clinical trials?
Actually, it was just typical retiree daily life, full of doctor appointments and just going to lunch and things like that. As far as the COPD that I have, I actually had it and didn't even realize I had it. I heard the doctor mention it, and I looked at him and I said, "Wait, you said COPD? So are you just diagnosing me now?" And he said, "No, I had had it for some time." So I'm saying that to say it wasn't affecting me really bad, but over time, it has definitely made a difference. And as far as finding out about the trial, I just happened to see it on Facebook one day, and that was what happened.
Okay. Were you currently on some treatment before?
Yes, a daily inhaler. Okay. And they also prescribed what do they call it, rescue inhaler?
Yes.
But I have hardly ever had to use that, so it's just a daily treatment.
And how did you said you mentioned that you found us on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
What did you know about Revival Research? Did you know about us before seeing the trial on Facebook?
I didn't know anything about Revival Research, but I filled out the questionnaire and I was contacted, and that's how I got in.
And what do you remember about your first interaction with Revival?
Oh my God, it was awesome. I didn't know what to expect, but first of all, the facility was just gorgeous. And once I got to the office, everybody was so welcoming, and it just put me at ease. And I, from there on, have experienced nothing but that.
Did you have a lot of questions before enrolling, or what was your thought process?
I did. My main concern was potential side effects, dangers of participating in the trial. So I did ask any of the questions I had, and that's one good thing I remember about all of the team members. They're very happy to answer your questions, no matter what they are, so never be afraid to ask any questions. No question is stupid. And if they can't answer it right then, they'll get the information and pass it on to you. So after discussing the trial with the team member the first time I was in, I felt pretty good about things and thought I would move forward.
You officially joined your first trial. What did the experience, like day-to-day experience, look like for you? Like as far as like the scheduling, any tests, any procedures that you had to have, what was that like? I can't say that there was something that occurred every day, but on that first day, of course, I found out I was approved for the study, and they set up the initial visit for the start of the trial. And they did your vitals, nothing that was intrusive or anything, just your vitals. I believe they may have done an EKG. And that's one thing I will point out. Throughout the entire study, they were always checking vitals, doing EKGs. So that made me feel safer, knowing that they were paying attention to things, and every team member showed such passion about what they were doing, and everybody was excited about it, which pulled me into the excitement. So
overall, you
great.
feel you were supported by the research team.
Absolutely.
Great.
They've become my family.
And if you had to describe having a normal clinic visit at your primary doctor's office versus a research visit, what are the main differences that you see?
I don't think anybody's ever asked me that, but just thinking about that question, I don't think I ever looked at the visits here at Revival as patient visits or doctor visits. There's a major difference at the doctor's office, and I've said this many times to close friends. It's like a cattle call, one in, one out, one in, one out. You know, it's all about the money, but here you're just treated so special. And again, yeah, like I said, you don't feel like it's a doctor visit.
And was there any request that you made to help your accommodations in participating in the trial?
No, and I think that's because everything's already here. I mean, I was treated like a queen, always. There was one visit in particular that was a long visit. I think it was 8 or 9 hours, and they actually gave me my own bedroom. TV, very comfortable, and they provide food, snacks. I ended up gaining 10 pounds throughout the study because I couldn't keep my hands off the snacks. But I'm sure if there was something I did need that wasn't already here, they certainly would have come through with it. That's the kind of people they are.
For people without COPD, what would you say that they take for granted?
Just life and the fact that they're breathing. I mean, they have no idea what people with COPD go through.
And what would you say is the benefit of participating in a clinical trial?
One main benefit I see is the opportunity for treatment that I wouldn't otherwise be able to attain. I mean, as it is today with COPD in particular, but I would imagine the same with others with other medical conditions. The medication that I need, the one that's right for me, I can't afford. I mean, they want almost $500 just for one inhaler for 1 month. And it ticks me off because there's no need for that. It's nothing but greed. So again, back to participating in this study trial, I have the opportunity to possibly be able to obtain a trial, treatment, whatever that may be, at no cost. So I'm excited about that.
Great. Besides the medical side, how did participating in the trial personally affect you?
That's a good question. The main thing I can think of is the comfortability level I gained by feeling so comfortable about everyone and asking questions and knowing I was going to get the answer. And if I was hesitant about anything, they assured me that if I decided at that point I didn't feel comfortable enough to continue on, I didn't have to. So it wasn't like you're in something and you can't get out of it. So it's a good feeling.
Great. Thank you. So now we want to talk about, you saw the advertisement on Facebook, but what ultimately drove you to participating in the trial, knowing that you had this condition? What was the reason why you joined?
Well, I looked at it as an opportunity to help others and also help myself, whatever the outcome may be. I have contributed to that, which is something I've always wanted to do, not necessarily through research studies, but I've always had it in me that I wanted to help some kind of way. And this certainly was a way to do that. But also I'm thinking, well, I could end up better off because my participation could allow them, along with however many other people they need and the time it takes to complete the study, come out with something that could potentially give me a longer, better life.
Yes. And before this trial started, what were your expectations and how did your expectations meet the actual experience that you received?
I can't say that I really had any expectations because I really didn't know. It was just the day by day or event by event experience. I did become more comfortable as the time went on. There were a couple of tests, I guess I would call it, that would go along with having COPD that I didn't expect. And sometimes it was quite grueling, but the staff, again, made me so comfortable with what I was doing. And they encouraged me, like, you can do it, you can do it. And I just remember that, and it worked. So all in all, it is probably the best experience I've had.
All right. So looking back, in what ways did participating in the trial help you from any aspect? From your condition, personally? Like, how did it help you?
Oh, gosh. I can't say that my condition itself is any different, but I feel that there's hope. And opening up to others, I just have to bring that up again because the attitudes, personalities of all of the team members are such that you can't help but feel comfortable and want to be a part of the study and hopeful that you're going to make a difference.
So next is talking about the support system, and which you've already communicated a lot on. So we wanted to know, how did the research team and personal support systems help you during the study, which I believe you've already explained how wonderful they've been, encouraging you through different procedures along the way, answering any of your questions. Mm-hmm. Did you have any feedback from your family support, as far as, was there any feedback from your family when you wanted to join the trial?
Not much. Main thing I can think of is my daughter, who happens to be a doctor, and of course she is going to question things and want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. So number one, she wanted to make sure I had cleared it with my own physician to make sure they felt it was a study that I could participate in. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, because the nature of my disease, COPD, has to do with smoking, we don't really talk about all that because that's the most difficult thing I've ever had in my life to conquer.
And what about the study doctor? Did you learn anything new about your condition, or?
Actually, I don't remember at what point it was, but it might have been after the first pulmonary function testing that I went through that I found that my COPD wasn't as bad as I personally thought it was. So that was a good feeling. I mean, it was positive and a negative to it, because the positive side being it wasn't as bad. In the back of my mind, that little devil was saying, well, you can keep smoking, so not good.
Good. And is that something that you've changed since then?
No, I still work at it every day. You know how they say never quit quitting. So,
Yes. So now, talking about advice for other patients, if someone was listening today and considering joining a clinical trial, what would you want them to know?
to know that it's a safe process. Again, at any time, if you don't feel comfortable about continuing on, you can always say, I no longer want to participate. Everything is fine. I would suggest that you do your research, and the team makes that absolutely possible because your first visit, they give you the entire protocol.
Informed consent?
Yes, informed consent. And it discusses the trial drug. It discusses everything. So you can always reference that. You can show that to your doctor, your family members, whatever you feel comfortable with. But I would certainly say it's something you should do.
Thank you. All right, so now we're going to go into our rapid fire round. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions. Right after I'm done asking the question, just go ahead, give your answer, and then we'll move on to the next question.
First thought on my mind, huh?
Correct.
Okay.
Ready?
Yes.
All right. What was the first thought you had when you decided to join the trial?
Excitement. A new venture. Couldn't wait to see what it was all about.
A myth about clinical trials that you discovered isn't true.
First thought that comes to mind is the guinea pig phrase that or label that everybody gives it. And to me, that's a very negative label. You could say you're a guinea pig, but it's in a controlled environment. So from that standpoint, I disagree.
Name one thing that surprised you the most about participating in research.
How easy everything was.
What's the best part of being in a clinical trial?
Being able to give back to science, to the future, and meeting new people.
If you could describe your journey in one sentence, what would it be?
The best experience I've had.
And what gave you the most confidence during the trial?
What gave me the most confidence? The team.
One word that describes Revival Research Team.
Awesome.
And if you could change something about clinical research, what would it be?
Just that they used the actual patients to participate in things like this podcast, because I can't think of anything I've seen other than the commercials about the company itself, and the people that may say a word here, a word there. They're usually actors or actresses, but we need to hear from the actual participants. So I think it'd be good that you do that.
All right. And one last question. How was your experience participating in this podcast?
I can't say more than awesome, great, just a welcoming, easy experience.
Thank you, Ms. Barbara, for sharing your experiences along your journey here in the clinical research space. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Research Realm, where we dive into the realities of clinical research. See you next time.
And thank you, Nicole.